Xiao Yin gave the chief of the Hall of Souls, who was floating in the sky above, a deep look. Both of his hands appeared like blooming lotuses as they danced and formed many afterimages. Following these hand seals, the cluster of pink flames above his head emitted a swoosh sound as it shot into the sky. Finally, it rapidly wiggled in front of countless pairs of eyes. A frightening temperature was gradually emitted while the pink flame wiggled. This caused the entire world to feel like a steamer. The mountains of the fallen mountain range would occasionally combust, causing a dense smoke to rise into the sky. The do-chi of some weaker individuals showed signs of boiling. Moreover, some of those experiencing intense emotional fluctuations were startled to discover that their bodies were gradually becoming warmer. The purifying demonic lotus flame possessed the unusual ability to use one's emotions as a source to burn one's body. This discovery frightened many people into withdrawing. Only after they had exited the bounds of the mountain range did they feel the searing pain in their hearts weaken. All of their faces were filled with horror. It is indeed worthy of being the purifying demonic lotus flame by being this terrifying. The grand elders of some sects around the mountain revealed solemn and envious faces. If one were to fight someone who possessed this kind of heavenly flame, one would have to split one's attention on resisting the high temperature of the flame before the fight even started. This terrifying temperature could even easily incinerate do-chi. Xiao Yin is finally planning on using the purifying demonic lotus flame. Old man Hunamo watched this scene and frowned. Even he would find it a little troublesome to deal with the purifying demonic lotus flame. Although the chief of the Hall of Souls was a level higher than Xiao Yin, it was not impossible for him to lose if he was careless. This little fellow is really a person blessed with great luck. I once made an attempt to get this purifying demonic lotus flame back then, but I ended up returning in failure. Unexpectedly, he was able to subdue the flame with his strength. Hun Xianmo sighed before he immediately laughed. However, even if this brat really uses the purifying demonic lotus flame, he will still not find it easy to defeat Hun Miesheng. The chief of the Hall of Souls focused his eyes on the cluster of churning pink flames as he stood in the sky. His eyes filled with a grave expression. On top of this solemnness, there was also an unusual heat surging within them. The pink flame gradually formed a pink fireplate in front of countless pairs of eyes. The edges of the fireplate consisted of strange flame symbols. If one were to examine these symbols, one would be able to tell that these symbols were the 6 types of heavenly flames Xiao Yin had refined. In the middle of these 6 types of heavenly flame, which was the middle of the fireplate, a crystal-like pink flame was swaying with the wind. Angry Buddha reincarnation. Xiao Yan's eyes hardened after the fireplate formed. A low cry was suddenly emitted. Buzz buzz. The pink fireplate in the sky emitted waves of buzzing sounds after Xiao Yan's cry sounded. The fireplate then emitted a cracking sound as it slowly rotated. While it was rotating, the pink fire crystal positioned at the center of the fireplate emitted a puff sound as it suddenly shot out an arm-thick fire pillar. The pink flame was merely as thick as an arm, but it swelled with the wind the moment it rushed forward before growing hundreds of feet in size within the wind. Key. The pink flame had just been formed when it shot toward a mountain below with terrifying speed. Upon contact, the mountain strangely vanished in front of countless pairs of eyes, as though it had been made of ice. Only a 1,000-foot-large pit was left behind. The large pit appeared bottomless. At a glance, one was unable to see an end to it. Go! Xiao Yan's hand seal changed. A finger suddenly pointed towards the chief of the Hall of Souls in the sky, and the fire plate swiftly rose. That pink fire pillar cut through the ground, forming a 10,000-foot-wide deep gully in front of many stunned eyes. It appeared as though all the objects the fire beam touched seemed to have been turned into nothing. Key. The fire beam moved at a speed that could only be described as lightning quick. An ordinary person was only able to detect a bright flashing light before that strange pink fire beam locked onto the chief of the Hall of Souls, who was just about to pull back. Kiki. After being surrounded by the pink fire beam, the majestic Do-Chi around the chief of the Hall of Souls began to swiftly melt at a speed visible to the naked eye. Although Do-Chi continued to surge out of the chief of the Hall of Souls' body, it was not able to catch up to the speed at which Do-Chi was melting. The strength of the current angry Buddha reincarnation had become overwhelming with the strengthening of the newly formed flame. If an ordinary elite Do-Shang was surrounded by this light ray, that ordinary expert would likely be able to endure for half a minute or so before their Do-Chi would completely melt. At that time, even one soul would be annihilated by the fire beam. The expressions of those experts in the sky changed when they saw the chief of the Hall of Souls, Do-Chi, rapidly disappear. Their eyes were a little horrified when they glanced back at the rotating fire plate in the sky. They could detect an extremely dense and dangerous aura emanating from the fire beam. The chief of the Hall of Souls will not be able to endure for long if this continues. Everyone looked at each other as this thought flashed across their hearts. Once the Do-Chi within the chief of the Hall of Souls was completely exhausted, he would be defeated. Reincarnation restrain. Xiao Yin looked at the chief of the Hall of Souls in the sky, who was forcefully enduring the fire beam. His eyes turned slightly cold as his hands once again formed different seals. Following the change of these seals, the reincarnation fire flame suddenly began to rotate in the reverse direction at a rapid speed. Buzz buzz. The 100-foot-large fire beam suddenly began to rapidly shrink after the reincarnation fire plate began to rotate in the reverse direction. Within the blink of an eye, it had shrunk to dozens of feet in size, but it did not stop there. It continued to wildly shrink. Following this rapid shrinking of the fire beam, everyone could sense an extermination energy being gathered. This is bad. Old Man Hunmo's expression immediately changed after sensing this energy. Even his heart had begun to palpitate as the fire beam shrank to the size of a thumb. Reincarnation restrain. Falling reincarnation. A cold glint suddenly surged within Xiao Yan's eyes after the fire beam became the size of a thumb. The beam locked onto the chief of the Hall of Souls' forehead as Xiao Yan suddenly cried out. Swoosh! The reincarnation fire plate in the sky trembled after this cry was made. It gradually collapsed as a red light flashed over the sky. That thumb-sized fire beam ruthlessly struck the chief of the Hall of Souls with a destructive force. Bang! A loud explosion reverberated across the sky. The frightening fire waves that were created by the beam caused some elite Do-Shangs to hurriedly pull back with different expressions. They were afraid to even risk the chance of coming into contact with it. It has struck? Yao Lao and the others revealed a slight joy upon seeing the beam land. Even the chief of the Hall of Souls would likely suffer after being struck by such a powerful attack. The ancestor of the Pill Tower also locked his eyes on the spot where the pink flame had exploded, but his brows were slightly knit. Has the victor been determined? Those eyes from all over the mountain looked to the sky. Some conversations appeared in waves. Xiao Yan's attack earlier was far too powerful. If nothing unexpected happened, it was not impossible for it to determine the victor. The Hall of Souls was completely silent. They had not expected the chief of the Hall of Souls to not possess the ability to even retaliate in this fight. Qi. Hun Qianmo inserted his hands into his sleeves. He merely laughed after hearing the conversations from others. Xiao Yan floated in the sky. A mouthful of extremely hot air was spat out of his mouth. His eyes had focused on the spot where the pink flame was scattering. Although he was quite confident in his attack, he sensed that the chief of the Hall of Souls would not be so easily defeated for some unknown reason. Puff! A slight sound was suddenly emitted from the area where the pink flame was spreading. He is indeed not dead. Xiao Yan's expression was displeased upon hearing this slight sound. The caution in his heart rose. Woo-woo. Soon after Xiao Yan's voiced his thoughts, a black figure vaguely took shape in the middle of the spreading pink flame. An extremely strange suction force suddenly swept out in all directions when it appeared. The pink flame, which had been spreading out, had been sucked back in. Finally, the pink flame charged into the body of the person slowly walking out of the flame in front of many eyes. These eyes were all filled with disbelief. He has actually absorbed the purifying demonic lotus flame into his body? Is he trying to commit suicide? The actions of the black figure immediately stirred an uproar. Clearly, everyone felt disbelief because of what he was doing. He is actually unhurt? Xiao Yan's eyes were a little stunned as they scanned the chief of the Hall of Souls as he slowly walked out of the flame. Xiao Yan felt some disbelief. The taste of the purifying demonic lotus flame is indeed delicious. However, it is unfortunately not the essence flame. I really wish to taste the essence of the purifying demonic flame. The chief of the Hall of Souls stood in the sky. He smacked his mouth and an unusual smile hung on his face. He looked at the frowning Xiao Yan. A strange black flame with an unusual devouring power was present within his eyes. Traces of it seeped out and the energy that surrounded him was continuously sucked into his body, after which it was completely devoured by an unusual strength. Are you feeling confused? The chief of the Hall of Souls softly laughed. His face was overflowing with a strange expression. You possess the purifying demonic lotus flame, while this chief has a heavenly flame that is even stronger than it. The chief of the Hall of Souls slowly extended his hand. A cluster of unusual black flames suddenly appeared. The black flames churned and vaguely formed a human face. Waves of a devouring power erupted from the mouth of that human face. Xiao Yan's eyes suddenly narrowed to the size of a pinhole when the black flame with a human face appeared. The second on the heavenly flame ranking, nihility devouring flame? A great storm had formed within Xiao Yan's heart at this moment. The nihility devouring flame was a heavenly flame that was ranked second on the heavenly flame ranking. It was ranked even higher than the purifying demonic lotus flame. The mystery surrounding this heavenly flame was even thicker than the purifying demonic lotus flame. At the very least, news of the purifying demonic lotus flame had slivered across the continent, but Xiao Yan had never heard of any news relating to this nihility devouring flame until now. The nihility devouring flame was ranked second on the heavenly flame ranking. This flame was born from nothing. There was no image to look for nor a form to grasp. From a certain point of view, the nihility devouring flame could be considered a mysterious existence. The nihility devouring flame was said to be able to devour anything. Only a small number of things in the world could resist its devouring ability, but this nihility devouring flame only existed in legends. No one had ever heard about any signs of this thing. Hence, the shock within Xiao Yan's heart was relatively intense when he saw the chief of the Hall of Souls actually summon this heavenly flame, which only existed in legends. Nihility devouring flame. How can this be possible? How can he possess the nihility devouring flame? Yao Lao had also immediately recognized the unusual black flame. An extreme shock was visible on his face as he involuntarily cried out. Everyone by the side trembled violently upon hearing these words. Even the ancestor of the Pill Tower revealed an extremely grave expression. Some of the experts around felt some uncertainty after seeing the fallen mountain range, which had become completely silent. The nihility devouring flame was far too mysterious. Only an extremely few individuals were able to recognize it. Hence, many people felt somewhat at a loss when they saw the black flame in the chief of the Hall of Souls' hand. Squeak, squeak. The cluster of black flames with a human face in the hands of the chief of the Hall of Souls seemed to have become a little stronger after swallowing the pink flame. Waves of excited cries were actually being emitted from it. Xiaoyan, it seems that it is extremely satisfied with your taste. This chief has seldom seen it reveal such excitement. The chief of the Hall of Souls faintly laughed upon seeing its reaction. Xiaoyan's eyes did not blink as he stared at the cluster of black flames. He suddenly knit his brows a moment later. Finally, he slowly shook his head and softly said, "This heavenly flame of yours is not the nihility devouring flame." Many people were involuntarily startled after Xiaoyan's words sounded. Even Yao Lao was a little stunned. Other than the nihility devouring flame, no other heavenly flame possessed a devouring power. Oh! The chief of the Hall of Souls merely lifted his brow upon hearing Xiaoyan's remarks. His hand slowly rubbed the human-faced black flames in his hand and asked, "If this flame of mine is not the nihility devouring flame, why don't you tell me what it is?" Xiaoyan stared at the chief of the Hall of Souls' face and smiled. The shock within his heart also slowly drained. This nihility devouring flame was indeed able to emit a unique devouring power, but Xiaoyan was in possession of 6 types of heavenly flames. Hardly anyone on the continent possessed a better understanding of the heavenly flames than him. Hence, he vaguely sensed something was not quite right after he cooled down. This feeling that something was wrong could not be pinpointed, but he became certain in his heart after hearing the chief's reply. The human-faced black flames in the hands of the chief of the Hall of Soul might have a relationship with the nihility devouring flame, but Xiaoyan was certain that this thing was not the true nihility devouring flame. This was a judgment that Xiaoyan could make because of his vast experience of playing with flames for over a decade. The devouring power that this flame possesses cannot be faked. It is indeed something that the nihility devouring flame possesses. However, it seems to be a little weak. Could it be that this thing is a seed flame of the nihility devouring flame? Xiaoyan's eyes stared at the chief of the Hall of Souls as he suddenly inquired. This so-called seed flame was a flame that was separate from the essence flame. A seed flame possessed some of the abilities of the essence flame, but it was a lot weaker. From a certain point of view, it could be considered an avatar of the heavenly flame. However, the ability to separate and form a seed flame was something that very few heavenly flames possessed. The old purifying demonic lotus flame might possess such an ability, but it had not separated itself because once one separated and formed a seed flame, one would be decreasing one's strength. That demonic flame did not like the feeling of his strength being separated. Xiaoyan's eyes were staring intently at the hall chief's face. He was clearly able to detect the chief's eyes narrowing when the words seed flame were mentioned. As expected, Xiaoyan coldly laughed in his heart upon seeing this slight change. If this person really possessed the true nihility devouring flame, he would have already absorbed all the energy in the air by now. Why would he slowly devour it like he was doing at this moment? However, this chief possesses the seed flame of the nihility devouring flame. This means that the Hun clan likely owns the true nihility devouring flame. Xiaoyan's heart was a little solemn. He had not expected to discover a hint of the foundation of the Hun clan this time around. The nihility devouring flame was something that merely existed in legends. Yet, it was actually in the hands of the Hun clan. This was not good news to Xiaoyan. You are indeed worthy of being an expert at playing with fire. The chief of the Hall of Souls gently held the human-faced black flames in his hand as he laughed in a faint voice. He had quietly affirmed Xiaoyan's guess. The nihility devouring flame was extremely important to the Hun clan. Although he possessed a high status, it was impossible for him to bring out its true form. Forget about whether he had the ability to control the nihility devouring flame. Even if he could, The clan would not allow anyone other than the clan head to bring it out of the Hun realm. However, even if it is merely a seed flame, it is more than enough to finish you off. The chief of the Hall of Souls lifted his hand. The human face formed by the cluster of black flames widened its mouth and violently bit the chief's hand. Qi began to surge out of his body before being swallowed by those black flames. The chief of the Hall of Souls became a little pale after the Qi within his body was swallowed by the black flames, but the black flames were growing more powerful. In the end, it emitted a sharp howl from its mouth. Its originally head-sized body had become 1,000 feet tall, causing black flames to rage in the sky. Those present could sense the Qi within their bodies vaguely show signs of attempting to break free from their bodies. They hurriedly suppressed their Qi in order to avoid embarrassing themselves. Squeak! The enormous human-faced black flames drifted through the sky. Its black hollow eyes stared at Xiaoyan. The faint sound of saliva being swallowed could be, making the face of the black flames appear stranger. Devouring flame, sir. Kill him? The chief of the Hall of Souls was filled with respect as he commanded this flame. The way he addressed this cluster of flames was also different. Squeak, squeak. The human-faced black flames let out a strange cry upon hearing this command, after which the flames whistled and moved. They penetrated through space like a ghost and sealed the space around Xiaoyan. Threads of black fire lines spread. They appeared like a cage as they trapped Xiaoyan within. This sudden scene startled everyone. No one had expected this unusual cluster of black flames to be able to unleash its own attack. What a delicious taste! The black flames wiggled and the enormous human face once again appeared in front of Xiaoyan. It let out a sharp and strange laugh. Obediently allow me to devour you.
Bang!
A frightening, devouring power erupted from the surrounding space after the black flame's sharp laughter sounded. This strength caused Xiaoyan's expression to slightly alter. He was preparing to suppress the violent heavenly flame within his body when powerful pink flames suddenly surged out of his body in all directions without any warning. This sudden, unexpected change startled Xiaoyan. He saw the pink flames quickly gather in front of him. They transformed into a palm-sized fire baby. This baby was Little E. Little E, quick, come back. Xiaoyan's heart pounded upon seeing this baby appear. Little E was the essence of 6 merged heavenly flames. Xiaoyan would really end up jumping in panic if Little E was swallowed by the black flames.
Eva.
Little E merely shook his small head when he heard Xiaoyan's panic cry. That tender little face strangely contained some fury as it glared at the human face. The purifying demonic lotus flame and the nihility devouring flame were respectively ranked 3rd and 2nd, but neither was more powerful or frightening than the other. Of course, this was because no one had truly seen a fight between these two types of heavenly flames. Hence, it was impossible to predict the results. Although Iwa was a newly formed heavenly flame from the merger of 6 heavenly flames, his instincts had mostly been taken from the purifying demonic lotus flame. Hence, hearing these black flames, which were merely a seed from the main flame, act arrogantly, provoke him, causing a fury to rise from deep within his bones.
Yeah.
In his fury, Little Yi's small body suddenly burst apart. A pink sea of flames suddenly spread across the sky. The black flame prison that the black flames had formed was forcefully shattered, and then the pink flames swept in the opposite direction and turned into an even larger fire prison. This prison had been formed to trap the cluster of black flames. The heavenly flame within Xiaoyan's body revealed its full strength under the control of Little E. Even when Xiaoyan personally used the flames, he would not be able to match Little Yi's control. After all, Little E could control the heavenly flame to a perfect and flawless extent because his actual form was the spirit of a flame. This unexpected change had startled the nihility black flame. It hurriedly unleashed its devouring power. This time around, it was no longer so lucky. Under the personal control of little e, every wisp of flame controlled its own thoughts. The results would be unpredictable if the nihility devouring flame's actual form were to swallow little e. But how could a mere flame seed act skilled in front of a true grandmaster?
Yeah.
Little e completely ignored the devouring of the nihility black flame. The pink flame churned before transforming into a large baby that was similar in size to the huge face. After which, it firmly grabbed the large face in front of tons of pairs of stunned eyes. Little E appeared like he was actually planning to swallow this nihility devouring flame's flame seed.